Today is a great day because we're making one of my favorite dessert recipes, which is sticky toffee pudding, and we're adding a rum caramel. Sticky toffee pudding is one of those recipes that's so simple to make. It's a cake, add caramel, and then you put the caramel inside it. And when you put ice cream on top, it's to die for. And let's show you how to make it. So here we have our ingredients for the sticky toffee pudding. On the left side are the ingredients to make the cake, and on the right side are the ingredients to make the caramel. First and foremost, we're using medjool dates. We're using 3 eggs, 2 of which are going to be whole eggs, and 1 egg is going to be just the yolk. This is going to help emulsify the cake and bring everything together. We're using spiced rum for this, and to complement the spiced rum, we're going to add spices into the actual cake, such as cinnamon, nutmeg, and ground ginger. To break down some of the dates to give it that smoother, creamier consistency, we're using baking soda. We're using classic all-purpose flour as well as unsalted butter. To make the caramel, we're using light brown sugar, molasses, golden syrup. So we're using the classic golden syrup that you would use in sticky toffee pudding. What that means is it's a little bit more darker, more amber color, and a richer sort of caramel flavor. And this is just gonna help give the caramel a lot more flavor. To give it the proper color and consistency, we're using molasses as well as heavy cream. So now that you have all the ingredients, let's cook down the dates. What you're looking for is a drier, less waxy exterior, and the reason why is because it has more concentrated sugar, which leads to a more flavorful pudding.
We're just going to pit these dates by sticking a chopstick in one end and removing the seeds from the other. Then we're going to give it a rough chop followed by a mince. The more you chop, the more it'll stick together, and that's good. Place your dates on the heat, add water, followed by spiced rum, and mix, breaking up the pieces. As you stir, it should begin to thicken in the liquid, and once it starts bubbling, add the baking soda and mix. This helps soften the date and smoothen out the texture, and once it looks like this, it's ready and set aside.
Now, if this is your first time or you're a little concerned about making a cake, this is the perfect one to start with. It has minimal dry ingredients, you're blending everything together, adding flour, and when you bake it, it only has eggs as a leavening ingredient, so you don't really have to worry too much about it rising. And if all else fails, we're dousing it with rum caramel, so it's super forgiving and it's so flavorful, and you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Using a stand mixer, we're going to cream our butter and brown sugar. You can also do this with a hand mixer or using a whisk. Add your eggs, vanilla extract, spices, and mix until combined. If it starts sticking to the bowl, scrape it down with a spatula. Now it's time to add the date paste into the wet ingredients and mix together until smooth. It should have some fine pieces of dates with a syrupy texture. From here, you can gradually add the flour, baking powder, and mix until you have a pudding batter.
Now that we have our batter, let's get our cake pan ready and get it in the oven.
We're just going to grease our 9x9 square baking dish with butter. You can also use cooking spray or parchment paper. Pour the batter in and spread it with a spatula to even out the edges. We're baking this at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes.
So while that's baking in the oven, let's make our caramel.
We made some tweaks to the traditional toffee recipe by lowering the molasses content, adding spiced rum, but keeping traditional classic flavors using brown sugar and golden syrup.
We're gonna add all our sugars, plus the rum, melt it down, and then add our cream to give it that almond brown color.
We're cooking this similar to a wet caramel where we're dissolving our sugars first before adding the butter and cream, and it's cooked to a much lower temperature than traditional toffee. Once it's mixed and it starts bubbling, you don't have to mix it anymore. And if you see any sugar crystals on the sides, we're going to just take a brush with water and clean off the edges. And once big bubbles start to form, you can take it off the heat. Here we're going to add warm butter and heavy cream.
Just make sure that the butter is at least at room temperature and the cream is really warm. You can microwave this for about 45 seconds to a minute before you put it in. The reason why is because if you add any cold cream, it'll harden up the caramel and then it will just come into a clumpy mess. It won't actually emulsify properly. There have been so many caramels that I've ruined just because the cream isn't warm enough.
So with this caramel, you're just going to keep mixing until everything comes together, and just keep in mind that it'll be liquid at first, and as it cools down, it'll start to harden. Once everything's combined, add the salt, mix again, and it's good to go. Now that it's cooled, we can pour it into a measuring glass and do a taste and texture check. You just place a spoon into the caramel and check to see if it coats the back of a spoon. Keep in mind it will thicken even more, but it's perfect right now for when the pudding is ready.
And here we have our pudding straight from the oven.
And you can see there's a little bit of browning on the sides thanks to the butter.
Before we do anything, we're just gonna poke it with a toothpick, or in my case, a cocktail pick, and we're just gonna see if it's cooked. Yep, it's fully cooked and we're good to go.
Using a fork, we're gonna poke a bunch of holes into the pudding and then pour the caramel over top. We're using about a cup of caramel. Now you can let it rest here to absorb, or you can throw it into the oven for another 3 minutes just to make sure the caramel dissolves into the pudding.
So here's our sticky toffee pudding. It completely absorbed all the caramel, so now it's ready to slice and serve.
For presentation, I'm slicing this into 4 large pieces. Following this with our freshly made spice rum caramel, a generous scoop of vanilla ice cream, followed by more caramel over top. And here is your sticky toffee pudding. It's truly a work of art.
Sticky toffee pudding remains unmatched. And there you go, sticky toffee pudding with a rum caramel glaze. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe down below.